Hey friends, welcome to the In Focus podcast, a show for photographers who are looking to grow and scale a photography business that feels good. I'm your host, Gina, a wedding and elopement photographer, industry educator, coach, and most importantly, your friend. On this show, we'll dive into actionable strategies, industry trends, and all things photography related so you can leave each episode feeling inspired and in focus. All right. Hey friends, welcome back to the In Focus podcast. If you are a wedding photographer and you've just been feeling like, if I just post more on Instagram, I'll book more, or why am I creating content constantly, but my inquiries feel inconsistent, this episode is for you because today we're talking about something that I think is massively misunderstood right now in our industry. Instagram is not the main character anymore. It's still important. It still matters, but it's not the full strategy. And honestly, it's not even the primary booking channel for most photographers. As a wedding photographer who has had Instagram as my leading inquiry generator for the past 10 years, this is the first year in my business where I've seen a change on where my leads are coming from. And I would be a complete fool to not be paying attention to that. So let's talk about it. Today, we're going to break down how couples are actually finding photographers in 2026, the real data behind getting discovered by your clients, why photographers are visible but not converting, and what you should be doing this year if you want to book 2026 and 2027 couples more confidently. So by the end of this episode, you're going to have some clear action steps and things to work on and moving forward to book more clients. Let's get into it. Okay, let's start with some data about where couples are actually looking. Recent industry reports show that around 68% of couples use Instagram or TikTok to research vendors. I'm going to keep these two separate moving forward because they actually have incredibly different data associated with each one of them, but just know that there's still a ton of traffic on social media. And the keyword there was to research vendors. With that, only about 4% of wedding pros reported actually getting leads from TikTok. I'm sure there are exceptions to this, and personally, I tried TikTok for a while and it didn't convert for me, and it also felt a lot harder. Google search, Instagram, and referrals remain the top 3 consistent lead sources according to industry reports, and most wedding pros report converting somewhere between 21% and 60% of their inquiries. So let's unpack that a little bit. Yes, couples are still scrolling Instagram. Yes, they're still watching Reels. Yes, they're still researching on social media, but researching is not the same thing as booking. So here's what's happening. Couples often discover you on Instagram, but they validate you on Google, and then they feel safe booking you through referrals and strong brand presence. Instagram is the discovery, Google is the decision, and then referrals are the trust needed for that booking. If you only show up in one of those spaces, you are leaving money on the table. So right now, Google is quietly winning. Let's talk about Google a little bit more because I promise you the photographers who are consistently booking are not relying on their social media. When a couple gets engaged, what do? They go to Google and they search wedding photographer in area. So like wedding photographer in Seattle, or documentary wedding photographer in Washington, or best wedding photographer near me. They are searching with intent, and that is high quality traffic. And if you don't show up there and someone else does, that's where SEO matters, right? And I know you already have heard this before. As many good business owners know, we are taught out of the gate that SEO matters. And I know it sounds technical, and I know it's not as fun as making a reel, but here's the thing. Most Instagram content disappears and gets lost into the depths of social media within 48 hours. A blog post optimized for SEO can bring you inquiries for years. If you are not blogging real weddings, if you are not optimizing for your city and local venues, and if your Google business profile isn't updated, you are missing one of the highest intent lead sources available. And in a market where conversion rates are lower overall, you cannot afford to ignore high intent traffic right now. So here's your action steps. I want you to audit your website. I want you to Google it yourself. I want you to see what page you show up for what you are trying to be targeting. So if you are trying to book more Seattle, Washington weddings for Seattle wedding photographers, what page are you actually showing up for, if any at all, right? How deep does somebody have to go to find you? Do you have venue-specific blog posts on your website? On this one, you could make like a 6-venue blog hit list and think of 6 venues that you want to shoot at in 2027 and make sure that there is something relevant and recent up on your website about each one of those venues. Think about the things that couples will be searching in relation to this venue. How can you answer those questions for them? And then lastly, are you using location keywords in the backside of your website? A quick and easy win for you today is to tackle your keywords. This is your homepage title, so what shows in Google, and you can use this template right here. Your brand or business name, dash, wedding photographer in what city or region you serve. That should be your homepage title in the back end of your website. It should not be something like timeless romantic imagery for couples who are madly in love. That does not rank on Google. It needs to help Google understand like who you are and where you serve and what you do. And secondary, for your homepage, your H1, that stands for heading 1, which is the main heading of your website. You should update that as well. And then you can just use this template right here. Wedding photographer in city, region, whatever that is for you, for couples who want emotion, style, outcome that you deliver. Okay, so that's the template. So some examples of that would be Pacific Northwest wedding photographer for couples who want candid, elevated storytelling, or Seattle wedding photographer for modern couples who want editorial portraits and real moments, or Washington wedding photographer capturing candid and editorial photos. So you kind of see that it also brings back in that location, that region that I serve, and also like what I'm delivering. And why I want you to start here is because the thing about ranking on Google and SEO in general, it takes a little bit of time. So if you make these adjustments today, it can take 1 to 3 months for Google to crawl and index your website. And that just means that it's reading your website, understanding what it's all about, and then it can start to rank you, right? It can take 3 to 6 months is what most SEO experts say they need to start seeing improvements in actual ranking. 6 to 12 months when you actually see more measurable ROI, and 12 plus months to rank if you are targeting a highly competitive keyword. So like Seattle wedding photographer is like a lot more of a high competitive keyword versus like even Tacoma wedding photographer, which is like a suburb outside of Seattle, kind of. So the sooner you start, the better. The local SEO and the venue-based content can start seeing results fastest though. So if you want to start working on those, and then you could just slowly chip away at those like more competitive keywords in the meantime. This is a great growth lever if you are not already using it. There is always something that you can be working on with your SEO. And again, it's a long game that you can chip away at nonstop. Okay, now let's talk about Instagram. I know I called this episode like Beyond the Gram, but we're still going to talk about it because it's obviously still relevant for our businesses. But Instagram, it's still great for discovery, but it has changed. It's still powerful, but it's not a portfolio app anymore. So couples are not just asking, is this photographer talented? When they come to your Instagram, they're asking, do I trust them? Do I like their energy? Will they make me feel comfortable? Which means you have to have your content evolve with that change. It cannot just be pretty photos anymore, generic captions and hashtags. The photographers who are actually converting on Instagram leads are the ones showing their personality, giving a look at their process and client experience, showcasing all of those behind the scenes moments like how they direct and how they handle timelines and how their couples have the absolute best days and best photos ever, right? Our industry is so saturated. And if you're a photographer, your skill is actually assessed very quickly by our couples. They either like or they don't like your photos. If you have consistency in your style, that's all you can do about that, right? You don't actually want to book clients who didn't like your style to begin with. They'll just end up as unhappy clients with the end result, and they're not the right clients for you. But when your clients, the ones who actually love the way you shoot and edit and love your photos, do land on your page, it's the connection is what's going to help convert them. And remember, 68% of couples are researching on social media, which means they are lurking, they are watching, and they are always comparing. The goal is not to go viral. The goal with every single post and every single thing you put out there is to position yourself as the photographer that they can connect with and that they want to book. So how can we create this connection-based content? If this is new to you, or maybe just posting images feels easier than this, let me help you. I have 4 categories. And from these 4 categories, I just want you to pick one to focus on this month. Next month, you can choose another. So here's the 4 categories, and I'll kind of describe them as I go. But the first one is proof. This includes things like testimonials, review overlays, gallery slideshows, vendor shoutouts, just proof of what you do and how happy your clients are. Number 2 is process. This includes how you pose, how you direct, what you do on timelines. Like, what is the actual process like working with you? Like, how's it going to feel for that client to be one of your clients? Number 3 is personality. This is your energy, your boundaries, how you work. Like, what are you like as a human being? And like, do I want to be around you? And number 4 is education. This is tips for couples, not photographers, unless that's your client. But remember who you are trying to speak to. I actually see this air all the time because it's really common on Instagram to post photography tips. That's what we know, right? But you have to remember that unless you are in education space of photography, you are not talking to other photographers. You are trying to connect and book couples, people who are engaged, people who are getting married, and that's who you should be speaking to. So tips for couples include style tips, timeline tips, wedding day tips, venue tips, that kind of stuff. That's the stuff they want to see, right? Once you have your category that you've chosen for this month, I want you to make at least one reel and at least one carousel addressing that topic. So here's the hack though. Your content that you decide to make, it should answer the following for your couple, okay? The first thing is, will this feel awkward? And by that, I mean, will booking you in this experience with you as a photographer feel awkward? Will they feel awkward in front of your camera? Will they feel awkward working with you? So you're going to answer that question. The next one is, will this photographer help us? And they're worried right now, not knowing how to pose. And are you going to help them pose? And are they supposed to know what to do in front of the camera? Are you going to help make the timeline, or do they make the timeline? And what should they wear to their engagement session? How are you going to help and serve them in this process? So that's the second one. Number 3, does this photographer have a plan? How can you reassure them that you've done this before? You already have a plan for them. You are going to take it from here and like lead them and guide them through this process of getting married or engagement photos or whatever it is that you shoot. And the last one is, can we trust them? Can we trust this photographer? How do they know that you are trustworthy and dependable and reliable? And that kind of goes a little bit back to showing some of those testimonials and reviews, but also just getting on and being a real human being and showing your face and talking and allowing them to connect with you in that regard builds that trustworthiness and that reliability. So that's kind of Instagram, where we're headed right now. It's a lot more connection based, a lot less just pretty photos. It's a little bit more work for us as photographers, but it's definitely doable. And I know that we can all do this. So I would say pick one of those 4. Again, they were proof, process, personality, education. And just dive into that for a month and see what happens, see what changes, see if you get more interaction in your DMs, or maybe more follows, or maybe you do get some more leads in your inbox from what you're putting out there and allowing couples to connect with you. Okay, shifting away from Instagram, here is something that has not changed. Referrals are still gold. Referrals, they just convert like crazy. Venue referrals, planner referrals, past client referrals are the highest converting lead sources. In a time when couples are overwhelmed with options, they lean on trusted voices in their lives. I want you to think about the last time that you had to buy something that was like somewhat expensive. Here's an example. We have been couch shopping. We are currently shopping for a new couch. Couches can be really expensive. So here's what I did. I started on Google for best couches for pets and kids. So that would be kind of like our bride and groom's searching on Google for best photographer in Washington, right? From there, I saw some couches that I liked. I got an idea on pricing on couches in general. I didn't scroll past page 1 though. So that was like a big eye opener for me. I was like, okay, these are the couches on page 1, I didn't really spend more time than that. Then I went to Instagram and I searched beige couches. Okay, don't come at me for wanting to live my best beige life, okay? The Explore page fed me tons of beautiful images of couches, and I scrolled and I clicked through. I looked for any crossover. Were there Google couches that I liked on Google that are showing up on Instagram, and how did I feel about those? Because I assumed if they're popping up in both places, they must be good. I loved seeing couches in people's homes, kids jumping on them, or even better, I don't know if you've seen the ads, if you've ever couch shopped, where they like spill the red wine on the couch only to like clean it off. Brilliant. So that kind of content, that is like a photographer showing their behind the scenes work, like what it's like to work with them. So I was able to almost like connect with those couches. I started to narrow down my decisions from there. What did I do next though? Some of you might know because you may have responded to my story, but I posted on my story asking for couch recommendations from my friends who I trust because I wanted to know which couches are good and which couches fucking suck from my friends. First-hand user experience is what I wanted to know. I trust these people to tell me the real. And you know what? I chose our couch based on those responses right there. Someone I trusted gave me the review that I needed, and boom, my decision was made. And our clients do the same exact thing with us. A wedding planner says, hey, you have to hire her. That inquiry that comes into your inbox is warmer than anything else from social media or Google. So I want you to ask yourself, are you nurturing vendor relationships right now? Are you tagging venues in blog posts, social media posts? Are you sending galleries to planners quickly and making sure that they receive them? Are you easy to work with leading up to a wedding day and on the wedding day, just a positive energy that they want to work with again? And then are you the photographer that vendors want to recommend? And with past clients, are you asking for Google reviews? Are you staying in touch with them, inviting them back for mini sessions, keeping in touch with their life updates? You know, congrats, I saw this, or so happy for you guys that you bought a new house, all that kind of stuff. It just goes a long ways with staying top of people's minds. So here's a quick and easy win for you today. I want you to go to a past wedding gallery and pull up the vendor list from that wedding. I want you to download 10 high resolution images from that day that you know the vendors would love to see. If it's a florist, obviously highlight some of their florals, but I think vendors in general just love to see an overall feel for the whole day too. Like I love a 9-grid photo to bring it all together, to tie it all together, to just really deliver like the vibe and feel of that day. I want you to send those 10 images to a vendor or two from that wedding and let them know how much you loved working with them. Maybe you could get specific on it, like why you loved working with them or what they did. Maybe they did something that was funny that day. Maybe they did something like be above and beyond or something super helpful. Just get really personable on it. I want you to make sure that they got the full gallery from you. So they've actually received the images from, even if it's from a wedding this past summer, check in on them, make sure they got the gallery, they got the images, and let them know how much you would love to work together in the future. This is quick, this is fast. It's an easy way to send them an impactful and useful email to connect with. Hey, if I'm a vendor receiving that, literally, I am just taking those images and I'm going to start putting them on my social media as well. So it actually has more benefits than just the connection. I know referrals are not necessarily sexy marketing, but they are stable marketing and they are worth their weight in gold. Okay, now let's talk about that 21% to 60% conversion range and why conversion rates in general are dropping, because that's a pretty wide range. Some photographers are booking 1 out of 5 inquiries. Some are booking 1 out of 2. Why and what's happening? First, let's understand what's happening with our couples right now. Right now, decision fatigue is wild. Like it's the wildest it's ever been. Couples today are planning weddings in an era of unlimited Pinterest boards, TikTok wedding advice overload, 200 plus photographer options in every single market, price transparency everywhere, AI generated comparisons. Like it's wild. 10 years ago, they'd look at 3 photographers and now they're looking at 12 to 20 within a span of 2 minutes. And every option feels good. When everything looks good, people delay decisions. And it's not because they don't like you, but it's because they don't feel the urgency. What has changed psychologically is that people are used to infinite scrolling and infinite options, and that kind of behavior breeds hesitation. Additionally, financial caution is higher right now. With inflation, with higher interest rates, with housing costs, student loans resuming, general economic anxiety, even high-income couples are feeling more cautious. Instead of book it, let's go energy that we saw, 3, 4, 5 years ago, it's, okay, let's think about it, let's compare, let's wait till after we get our bonuses, let's see what our parents say. Those pauses that we are not used to they now feel like we're getting ghosted when often it's actually just financial deliberation for their life. Additionally, social media created a low commitment inquiry culture. This one is huge. Inquiring now is so easy. And that's a good thing in a way. They fill out a form, copy paste, send to 8 photographers. There's zero friction. But what this also means is that inquiry does not equal intent. So a few years ago, inquiries were higher intent because fewer photographers, less comparison. People were actually doing more research before they reached out to their photographers. Now, inquiry is just step one of browsing. It doesn't actually mean anything. They're just throwing out the inquiries to see where pricing is at, what photographers offer, etc. So we have all of this working against us. And it's ultimately just slowing down the buying cycle and lowering our conversion rates. When the buying cycle is slower, your strategy can't see the same as it was when we were in a market that had a faster buying cycle. This is why we now need to have tighter follow-ups, stronger positioning, clearer next steps, a gentle urgency, and faster response times. Because visibility is only step one, but your actual conversion is about speed of response, clarity in pricing, emotional connection, confidence, and your process. If you are getting inquiries but not bookings, your issue is not exposure. You're actually losing them in your booking process. So if that is you, I want you to look at your inquiry response email, your pricing guide, your call structure, and your follow-up timing. If this is you, here are some questions that you should be asking yourself when you look back at your past 10 inquiries. Response speed. How fast was it? Was it the same day? Was it next day? I saw one of the reports, it showed that like your response time should be 6 to 12 hours, which feels wild to me. I remember the days where we could respond days later and it didn't make a difference, but it's just shifted and changed. So faster response times tend to convert better. Clarity. Do they know the starting price, going into that? When do you tell them the starting price? Do they know what to do next? These are all questions to just look at and see like, what is your client's experience, your couple's experience when they are inquiring with you, and then what's happening in that process. Connection. Do they feel seen? Do they feel understood when they're reading through what you send and the email that comes back to them? Or is it just like a robot coming back to them? Confidence. Are you leading or are you being passive? And this is one that I'm personally working on because I am so laid back that I actually feel just most comfortable ending calls with something like, well, I'll wait to hear from you guys on all of this. Like, that's so easy to me. So I've been really challenging myself to end calls a little bit more clear and direct, and closing the call with something more like, okay, so how do you guys feel right now? Are you thinking that we want to lock this in today? Instead of, let me know if you guys have any questions, or like ending your emails. That's another one, like ending your email with, let me know if you have any other questions. Instead, it should say something like, okay, the next step is booking a 20-minute call right here and a link. And that's leading them with confidence and giving them that next step to working with you. The good thing is, if you are seeing inquiries come in, you don't need more leads. You actually just need a stronger and clearer positioning in a process that supports today's couples. So to sum this all up, we moved from a vendor scarcity to a vendor abundance market. When supply increases, differentiation matters even more. A few years ago, especially during the post-pandemic surge, there were not enough vendors for the number of couples getting married. Dates were disappearing, calendars were packed. If a couple liked you, they felt pressure to move quickly. But now we're in a different environment. There are more photographers in most markets. There's more visibility. There's more education. There's more access. Couples can compare 10 portfolios in 10 minutes without leaving their couch. So when options increase, urgency decreases. So what feels like ghosting you or low conversion rates is often just extended decision-making, a longer buying process. They're not choosing between you and no one anymore. They're choosing between you and 5 to 10 other talented photographers. In a vendor scarcity market, availability was our advantage. But in a vendor abundance market, positioning is our advantage. And this is why differentiation matters more than ever. Not just your editing style, but your messaging, your confidence, your clarity, your process, the experience that you promise to your clients, who you are as a photographer to your core. When supply increases, the photographers who stand out are the ones that are booking. The photographers who blend in, they get compared and then they get lost. So here is your 2026-2027 marketing stack off the gram. If I were rebuilding from scratch today, here's what I would focus on. First of all, a strong SEO optimized website. If you have the budget or can work on setting aside a budget to hire this out to someone with a good reputation for this, I would say offload it because I don't expect it to be a strength of yours. You are a photographer. Luckily, we have Google. It is available and it can help in the meantime if you're not quite ready for that investment. But just know that down the road, investing in somebody who knows what the heck they're doing and can set your website up for success is so worth it. Second, create a Google business profile with reviews. Post on your story today asking for some reviews. Make sure that your Google business profile is set up correctly, just out of the gate as well, and looks professional. So Google yourself, see what it looks like. I feel like every time I post on my story, I just catch someone at the right time and always land at least one more review on my Google profile. Like, right, I just drop the link. Hey, if you've worked with me in the past, could you leave me a review? It means so much to me. And you just catch people when they got a minute, they got a few minutes, they're doing nothing, they're just hanging out, they're scrolling. And if they enjoyed working with you, they'll leave you a review. If you have a newsletter, maybe you can schedule an email to also send that out, asking for reviews as well. Number 3, draft and schedule some strategic blog posts tied to the venues. I love the hit list of 6 venues that we talked about. Think of a few venues that you want to actually shoot at in the next couple of years and start getting some blog posts up about those venues, right? I have some past episodes about this and it goes more into depth about like what these blog posts should look like. So scroll back, but this is such a great starting point for building up that SEO. Number 4, take a look at your Instagram and ask yourself if it shows your personality and authority, or is it just pretty photos? Is there a way to connect with you like as a human being through your Instagram? Number 5, put together a plan for consistent vendor relationship building. Okay, so the off season is the time to do this before you get busy and everybody else gets busy inside of wedding season. So send a DM, just saying hi, send a voice text, checking in, leave some comments on people's social media, go listen to podcasts and send a DM and share it. And maybe send an email to a venue with a gallery that you shot there expressing gratitude for the weddings that you've been able to capture there. Just like any way to help people feel seen without asking for anything in return, right? Part of relationship building is it's not always getting something in return. It's just being there. It's being present. It's being top of mind consistently. So this is a great time of year to be doing that, to be connecting, to be reaching out. And not in an annoying way and not in a way where you expect anything in return. It's more of a supportive hype girl, hype boy role. And number 6, lastly, take a look at your booking process. How is your inquiry handling? You want fast, efficient, and confident here. So connection-based and personable, but also professional and trustworthy every step of the way. That's 6 pieces of homework that you can cycle through over and over and over again. I would pick one lever this week. Maybe you optimize one blog post or update the Google profile, or maybe you decide to reach out to one planner or improve your inquiry email. Or maybe you film one behind the scenes reel showcasing your process, right? You don't need to do everything today and you don't need to do everything this week, but just do one thing and do it well. I think if I had to add one more thing to that list, I know it's a lot, but if I had to add one more, I'd recommend looking at your current lead sources. If you use something like Honeybook for like a CRM, there's a way to go in and see your top lead generators and conversion rates in there. And I would start strengthening what's actually working for you right now. Booking in 2026 and 2027 is not about being everywhere. It's just about being in the right places and having strategy with that. All right. That's it. If this episode helped you, please send it to another photographer who needs to stop only living on Instagram. We want to get you guys out into the world, having strategies beyond the gram because there are plenty of them. I want you guys taking a peek at some of your own data within your own business to understand what's working for you and what strategies you should be pursuing. If this helped you at all, send me a DM, send me a message. I would love to hear from you guys. And until next time, I want you to stay focused and keep smiling.